In an interesting trend of events, Lonnie Walker is heading to Philadelphia on a 2-year, $7 million deal, which is going to pay him a bit more than the mid-level exception. To me, what I find really interesting about this is the fact that earlier today it was said that he was actually going to stay in Zalgiris with the club that he was playing with overseas in the Adriatic League, and now he is coming back to the NBA, which is great. He was there, and Philadelphia's taking a flyer on a guy to close out the season, regardless if they make the playoffs or not. That could end up being a trade asset in the offseason to a contending team, which I actually really like that. To me, I think, for what the market was, is just a Daryl Morey move, just get a bargain bin addition who could end up becoming a positive asset. Let me hear your thoughts down below before we continue. What do you think of this? So to me, looking at this, I just think it was what needed to be done in terms of to get him back into the league, as he's somebody who should have not been out, and he was a roster crunch. I mean, we talked about it. He was a guy who was on the training camp roster for Boston, but what had ended up happening was they weren't able to afford him. The luxury tax payment was going to kill them if they had kept him. And as a result, he just got roster crunched. And I think that's just something that when you look at the current situation, I think that is going to be really interesting how you go ahead and you take, for example, a team like Philadelphia that, they've had a litany of injuries, and Lonnie Walker over the last few seasons with the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers, he's been on teams that obviously have had championship aspirations or just at least playoff aspirations. And we know with Philadelphia, they've been a team that have been looking to put themselves back on the bubble as they've slowly been climbing back into the playoff race after a slower than expected start due to injuries. And I think that's one thing that if you look at the current situation, Philadelphia is a team that is really only 2 games away from the 10th seed, and they're technically only 9 games away from the 6th seed. So it's not impossible for them to go on a run and to get themselves back into a position, which would be to hopefully, compete for a playoff spot, which obviously would be something that I think they would enjoy if they're able to get themselves into that position. Now, obviously, Lonnie Walker, a guy who in the past has averaged 10 points a night, 2.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists a game, isn't going to blow the doors off him in terms of what he's going to do. He's going to be a guy who can guard 1 through 3, can be a microwave in transition, primarily a microwave off the bench for any offense that needs help. And for a team that is like the Philadelphia 76ers of this year, obviously with the injuries, it hasn't helped them. And with Zalgiris, and by the way, I said the Adriatic League earlier. I meant to say the Lithuanian League. I forgot that he is in, but they're playing EuroLeague. So in the 10 games that he did play in the Lithuanian League, he averaged 13 points, 2.5 rebounds, and just under 2 assists, and 53% from the field, and 54% from three. While in the EuroLeague, where you play primarily these games, they went 16 to 13. He averaged 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists a night on 38% from the field and 33% from three. So I really do think he's somebody that, obviously, depending on the circumstances, was looking at it. And I think the contending teams were probably not giving him the deal that he wanted. So as a result, I think he went and he chose a deal that was going to put him in a situation that was going to be favorable for him to get the playing time and to obviously be a part of the rotation. So I think right now, when you look at a team like Philadelphia, that obviously they are currently 20 and 34. We talked about they are actually the 4th worst points per game. They're 15th in terms of opponents' points per games and the 3rd worst pace in the league. But they did bring in Quentin Grimes, and with Eric Gordon, Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry all being day to day, and Jeremy McCain obviously being out for the season, I think getting a guy like Lonnie in here is going to be a huge help. And we've seen guys like Kelly Oubre having a great year. Tyrese Maxey's having a solid year. Quinn Grimes seemingly has been a solid fit so far, averaging 17 points a night there. And I think what you have here is a really good fit. So I want to hear your thoughts on that one, and what do you guys expect with a guy like Lonnie being brought in? Is that what you think needed to be done, or is an acquisition you wouldn't have liked? Or do you think this is going to be an interesting fit, to say the very least? due to the fact that they are a big guard heavy. And I'm curious, what do you guys think?